The North, an Unknown Civilization by Laer Grimm. According to information spread by veteran Scouting Legion members, the existence of the North in the desert was mentioned by the crawler titan called Tanks for background. Tanks is a peaceful titan that was encountered by the Scouting Legion. Unlike other titans, Tanks is capable of speaking and has its own consciousness, along refusing to eat humans. Other information is unknown or unavailable to me. It's still unknown to us what the North actually has. However, in recent years, information has spread regarding it. Stefan and his story. An individual called Stefan shared a story inside of an inn in Ermic. He narrated to several soldiers inside the bar about the existence of the North. He mentioned that the Scouting Legion long ago, possibly led by Foss Erdhard's father, went to the North and explored its lands. There, they encountered an extreme harsh environment consisting of high temperatures during the daytime, cold temperatures during the nighttime, liquid terrain making it impossible to hook on to, quicksands capable of killing titans, sandstorms capable of heavily reducing view and even blinding people. The environment is very hostile towards soldiers and horses. Over time, horses would suffer fatigue and end up being unable to move. However, they can move at least 2 maps within the desert, according to Stefan. Stefan and his men managed to survive there by replacing their jackets and taking them off. This is why he mentioned women were banned from northern expeditions due to them being forced off to take off their clothes. He mentioned that FOBs were established and possibly there's a chance of finding soldiers' notebooks. As of the time, they were required to make reports/diaries during the expeditions. In a desert, there's other unique features such as quicksands. Stefan mentioned that those are distinguished between normal sand and quicksand. Either way, they're capable of consuming a titan alive. It's been used as a tactic against abnormals due to the lack of objects to hug on. The weather is also harsh, mainly the natural phenomenon called desert storm, where a storm of sand will blind/heavily reduce visibility for soldiers. Due to the terrain, hooking is a no-go. This is due to the lack of a solid base to hook onto. For example, imagine as you hook onto water. Yes, your hook fires in the direction, but you won't be holding onto something, meaning it won't work. Meanwhile, while we engage, we usually hook the ground, which is soft and solid enough to let hooks grapple and hold. That's the best comparison I can give. As a final note, there's an animal in the desert called the camel. Described like a horse with 2 humps on its back, its home seems to be a desert according to the information. It can be tamed and used like a horse. Exactly, the former Scouting Legion commander was able to tame one, but was never brought back to the walls. However, doubts arise. How all of this information was never showed to the military? Stefan in response said that the documentation was erased, like it never happened. Unknown why, but after talking with us, he was shot dead outside the inn and killed by an unknown murderer, perhaps trying to silence Stefan? Nothing else was found, and investigations were brought to a dead end, as the only individual capable of providing information who lived and served around the year 817 was killed by the military police in Ermic. This led to a total end of any information. The Horse Trader. Recently, a new trader showed up at the outskirts of ceremonial stage. This man never presented himself nor capable of speaking Eldian fluently. He managed to communicate with everyone else, despite not being able to speak Eldian. He set up a small building outside, using wooden walls and tents. Inside of it, there would be some horses with different colors and sizes. The man said that he was selling horses in exchange for a guild, as such a huge crowd lined up and was ready to pay for a new horse. He mentioned there are different breeds, and I am aware of a few. The Morgan, the Saddlebeater, and the Yord. The prices range from 350 geld minimum to 1,000 geld. He was also changed the color of the saddle for an extra 100 geld as the lines got bigger. The man employed a few soldiers to work as security. However, these horses are capable of resisting weather like the tundra in the desert. Towards the night, as the line ended, there was a chance to discuss with this man. He did not originate or know the existence of the walls. Exactly, he expressed confusion with his own words. What's Walmaria? He originally came from the north with his horses and traveled all the way to Walrose, and managed to sneak past all the titans by not making himself noticeable, like being under the radar. Further questioning happened. He was able to go through 2 big coals. This raised the suspicion that this man was truly from beyond the walls, and possibly he could have traveled through the Yosai district. Likely from the north, he traveled eastwards and then westwards, entering Walmaria and reaching Walrose. This man spoke a different language. Unlike Marlane, Asahi, Native, Karov, and Eldian, his language was unknown to all of us. But he wrote down in Luca V. Cornelius's notebook that his name are symbols. The symbols apparently spell out northbound, however, this cannot be confirmed. His hometown is a dangerous place. This is due to bandit activity as law is not a thing from beyond the walls. His culture is unknown to us besides the fact that he comes from the north. He showed a love for weapons, and he mentioned that our weaponry is way different from the north's weaponry. When he was asked about camels, he responded that they're hostile to humans despite a friendly approach. You're likely to be spat on, or you're here to be chewed by them. However, they can be tamed, but it takes a long time, and an ability, and a long-lasting patience. Before selling horses, he warned people to not harm and to protect them. Every time he sold one, it seemed to hurt him. This is due to the bond he established with them over time. He plans to remain within the walls as long as he keeps making geld. The state of the north. The horse trader opened a shop today, selling horses. However, unlike last time, while making use of the geld he made, he built a stable there, and people started lining up to purchase and talk with the individual. But clients stopped flowing in, the trader closed shop, and then many people asked questions, and he ended up talking about the north and his experience. The people of the north live on what he defines as a huge platform created by the terrain. They're high up that titans can't climb, so they live in peace. They used to have tunnels, a lot of tunnels, and mining zones as well. Every single citizen lives inside this huge platform. He also mentions about the wildlife, speaking of insects and huge birds and huge cats. He spoke of how the nation is ruled. People asked if they had a king or a queen ruling nation, but he responded that he never knew what a king or queen was until he came to the walls. He said that his nation was ruled by a government that votes on laws and everything else. He also taught Eldian as a secret language. However, the main language is unknown to us. It's impossible for us to even describe right now. His nation has lived in peace for so long, and he never knew what war meant until he saw it with his own eyes by watching the ongoing fight between Eldia and Marley. He also learned what a Marleyan was. This led to people questioning why he came over if his homeland was a peaceful place. He simply responded, "I went south, looking for new opportunities. Nobody had the balls to do it, so I did." People immediately asked about the best routes to head there. He said that the direct road departing from the walls is faster, but people going out there will suffer from terrain and hot climate. He has said that taming camels would be necessary. As much as he would love to keep on talking, the first interior squadron appeared out of nowhere and took the horse trader away for private talks, which lasted for about an hour. He would later return, but he wished to wrap things up and went to rest.